The Golightly Marshall Hour on freedomtalkradio.net.
So, here we are. Show, what is it? 62. Has to be.
About that?
Yeah. Now, today, interesting information. Old information that's we've refreshed our memories with. Borax. We all know that mycoplasma, aflatoxins, have been placed into the food chain to kill us all. Simple borax, which is a mineral that is mined, deals with strengthening our bodies. It gets rid of
the membrane of the cell wall in particular is strengthened. And this is penetration of the cell wall is what it's all about.
Yes. The aflatoxins change our DNA, so you need something to protect the cell wall from the aflatoxin doing its damage. I thought I'd read a little of the common mycoplasmas now weaponized, pathogenic and deadly. Again, this particular paper was released in 2001. I read it for the first time in 2009 on my own YouTube site. I'll go over a little bit and then we'll switch over to borax, available in the laundry detergent section of your supermarket, and taking just a little a day or a little more if you're suffering from chronic diseases like arthritis or even cancers. It's highly pH on the alkaline side. Again, its pH is around 9.3. So this is the common denominator of your bicarb sodas and soda ashes, etc., is their high pH. Now, Donald Scott is an MAMSc, so he's a Master of Arts in Science, and he was the president of the Common Cause Medical Research Foundation in Ontario, Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. Now, he wrote this document, The Linking Pathogen in Neurosystemic Diseases. So I'll go over it a little bit and then we'll focus more on the borax, reading some work. There was a doctor here in Australia during the 60s, his name was Dr. Newman, who worked with borax for some time. He was to the point where he was actually moving 10,000 bottles of boron, which is the active constituent in borax, and people overcoming their arthritis until the government stopped it all, of course. There's no money in it for them. And as you know, with all of these simple remedies that when the world awakens to it, then that's the end of Big Pharma.
I should also mention that not too long ago there was a company in Australia making all sorts of vitamins, doing very well, a $20 million company. And Amanda Vandersteen, I think her name is, she was a health minister at the time. They set the company up because what happens if you're pressing pills or something out of, let's say, vitamin C, and then you go to another vitamin. What they did, they set the company up so that when they changed the pill making of, let's say what it was, I'm not sure, but it might have been vitamin C, and then they're making another pill. Okay, they've got to clean the press, and apparently they put a worker in there that didn't clean the press 100%. So you buy a next bottle off the machine, and it might have a trace element in it of another product. And that was enough to close them down. So they set him all up, and it was a $20 million business, and he went broke. Right? Now this is due to the alimentarius, where they are making things like vitamin C and D and all that kind of thing. They're putting it on the same listing as heroin. Can you imagine getting your mind around that? So you can't go and buy heroin at the local pharmacy, so you won't be able to buy vitamin C or vitamin D and all these other products that they are classing, because these are the products that your body needs, and because of the depleted vitamins you're getting out of your plants, you're down to almost zero nutrients in the plants. And this is what America is doing, and Australia, of course, is following suit because it's just a lapdog of America. So I was looking into borax when I first opened my clinic in Melbourne. And, of course, borax is one of the main ingredients. Now, what they did back in the early 20s, maybe before that, they were able to crystallise cancers and this type of thing so that it gets into your body, and when your body reaches a certain level of age, or if you're exposed to the cell phone, cell towers, then these crystals can open or dissolve or burst and release the mycoplasma inside it, which then develops into a cancer or something like that.
Look, let's focus on the positive first. We all know about the negative. Let's go straight into the borax, because this is protection against what we know now to be not the big deal, radiation. Anyway, this one is called the borax.
I wanted to say...
Sorry, no.
The dangers of what these bastards are doing. You've got to remember that someone might be listening for the very first time, right? Because our numbers are increasing, right? So when I explain something to someone, to the people that know me and have been listening to me for years, it might be quite boring because I keep on saying the same thing over and over again. But when the pharmaceuticals run nations, they are trying to kill everybody on earth. And it goes back to the Jews. This is what you've got to understand. It's all the Jews. They're going to kill you because now they've had this Samson option, which we've talked about in a few of our videos or more. And the whole point is the Samson option is all to do with the spirit. So they know that they are dead meat when Christ returns to the earth, because Christ is this time Yahweh the judge. And the demons of the past that occupied people, this is the Mary Magdalene prophecy, she has 7 devils driven out. Now there's a garnish prophecy. When the soul has been garnished, swept clean of the demons, the person dies, and then when they're reborn, the little baby is now attracting the same demons that left in the previous life. This is what you don't find out about in your Bible. It's there, but you just have to be able to read it, because every time that they rewrite a Bible, in particular the Bibles are now owned primarily by Satanists, which they all were really, and you never hear Essenes and all that kind of thing, but it is there because of modern techniques. We can go into look what has been made available by our scholars, and do go up on the internet, and you can read about the Essenes. So you'll find the Essene Gospels are saying things that are so far advanced on the Bible that it defies imagination how it hasn't been able to be made more commonly known. But reincarnation, of course, is real, and you get up to 7 times to get it right. Now, each time you reincarnate, you bring the demons from the past with you, and times 7. So can you imagine what the math are when you say you've lived 7 times, like a person like, say, George Bush, for example, as evil as the day is long? Well, he's on his 7th run. This is it, death, and he faces the second death. It's in your book of Revelation, the second death. So judgment, second death. So we are just entering into a period of time which, if you get your smartphone and you ask it, the Siri, isn't it?
Siri, yes. The
Siri, you ask the Siri and say, what is the 27th of July? And it'll say opening of Hades. Then you go to the 3rd of September, ask the Siri what that is, and it'll say the date, and etc., the day of the year, of the week. And it'll say the closing of Hades. Well, this is actually the book of Revelation. It's talking about how Hades, or hell, they don't use the word, they changed it from Hades to the word hell in the New Testament. It's the same thing. You look it up in the concordance, hell is Hades. And it says that hell is opened. Who's opening it? Hello. And why? This is to open the gates of hell, not to let the demons out, but to cast them in forever. So we're into a very, very important time right now. So that's all I have to say.
That's all right, babe. So do you want to do the mycoplasma first? And I just
go
thought...
to the mycoplasma, yeah. Yep.
I just thought I'd go to the solution to everything first and then come back
Whatever you
to...
want.
Yeah.
I'm your slave, you know that.
Well, it's some good news.
Why are you wearing my pyjamas, by the way?
It's not your pyjamas at all. I bought this while I was down with Lincoln. This is to be part of a sewing project. There's another half to
We're
this.
suffering a heat wave. It's midwinter now.
Yes, I know. Well, I won't have to do it, will I?
You know why we're suffering a heat wave? This is midwinter in Australia. Now, just for you that are remotely intelligent, look up Nehemiah, that's spelled Neumeyer, and webcam, and you go to the webcam and it'll run, and at about, depending on the day, but yesterday the time was a little bit different to today because the earth is actually on a bit of a wobble. Now, what's happening is that when you go to this 70 degrees south latitude at this time of year, it's dark 24 hours a day. So you can look up Antarctica darkness, and it'll tell you what months are dark in Antarctica. You can't see a thing. But if you go to Nehemiah, which is past the 66 degree latitude south, and that's when the 6 month period that the sun doesn't shine in Antarctica. But now you go down there and the sun is shining for about 8 hours to 9 hours a day. Wait a minute, how can that be? It's supposed to be pitch black. The reason is, and we confirmed this when we was in England last year in May, that the Earth's axis had shifted from the English Channel straight up to about 50 miles, something like that, was the axis of the Earth. We could determine it by, when we was in Folkestone, we observed, what happened was there's a church right across the road from Folkestone, and there's beyond that is a little park where a church used to be, supposed to be bombed by the Germans and killed all the people in it, which is an absolute utter lie. But the tower is still there. And looking at this Methodist church, it's shaped like the horns of the altar of Moses, which is bullshit. Moses is bullshit. Let's get that straight, right? It's all invented out of Babylon. Babylonian Jews. So what happened was, this altar, when it was in the blood rituals, they put blood on each of the corners of the altar. So directly across the road is this blood ritual where they destroyed this church, and supposedly the Germans did it on a Sunday when there was all chock-a-block full of Christians, and they killed them all. That's wrong. They didn't. What happened was Churchill had it blown up to make it look like the Germans, because they do this thing for false flags to make the war effort continue, because it was a dreadful time. But we was watching that. While we're watching that, I'm taking the film, and throughout the day I was taking the clock tower, and I was noticing that the shadow was somehow wrong, didn't look right. And what it turned out to be, that early in the morning when the sun come up, it would come up at a very shallow angle, and as you see, if you're in Australia, the sun comes up, it's maybe 90 degrees in some cases, depending where you are, straight up, and then comes straight down on the other side, or on a slight angle, or an extreme angle, depending how far north or south you are. So, if you was on the equator, the sun would come straight up. If you're going south, it comes up at an angle. So we are in northern Queensland, or central Queensland, and that's quite a bit north in Australia. And we've been observing the sun coming up on an angle which is not right. It's coming up in the north east. It should be coming up more eastward, but it's not. It's coming up more northward. And what this is caused by is the axis of the Earth has shifted, and probably it has moved again from the area 50 miles north of Folkestone in England, off the English Channel. So what's happening is you can prove it. You go down to get you onto the internet, well, you can do it right now and prove it in 5 minutes. Go to Nehemiah Station, which is 70 degrees south. You can look that up on the internet. Where is Nehemiah Station? Put in latitude and longitude and tell you where it is. And therefore it is past the 66 degree latitude. At this being so, means it should be black all the time at this time of the year. But it isn't. The sunshine is about 9 hours. Now, my astronomy programs are all over the place. It even has plotting the moon going over Antarctica. Now, the reason it's doing that, of course, it's not going over Antarctica, but the program is plotting it because it's, I think it's called algorithms that they set these things up on. So, for example, when this program was made 3 years ago, it had a study of the stars and positions and how they might plot them over a period of hours, days or months to get the precise information. Or it's gained from internet providers. Either way, the sun is not supposed to move more north or south due to the axis of the Earth being stationary, static. So in a period of a year, the angle of the Earth being at 23.5 degrees, it should remain there, but due to the axis of the Earth remaining at that level, but the Earth is also going around the Sun, and on the 4th of July, it is furthest from the Sun, and on the 4th of January, it's closest to the Sun. And the tilt of the axis of the Earth is what causes the temperature and seasonal variation. I won't go into it. It is complex, but it is amazing how you'd have to say it's just a fluke of nature for this to be so. Otherwise, life wouldn't have evolved and slid out the arse of the sea slope 3.5 billion years ago.
You mean there was no design to it? No intelligence behind it?
So, in other words, we now go to Antarctica. You go past 66 degrees and you will not see the sun in this time of year in Antarctica. It's pitch black. Go to Nehemiah, I'll spell it for you again, Neum. You know why I keep on spelling it?
Reminding yourself.
I learned how to spell it yesterday. Neumeyer station. It's German people down there. And you'll find that there are 3 different views that they have. In other words, they have 3 different stations down there. The Nehemiah one, which is the main station, I think it's called Nehemiah 1. There's 2 and 3. It'll show you the sun, bright, 9 hours, comes up at a certain time of day. It actually varies every day because we're in that orbit around the sun. But it's showing a nice and bright sunlight. When you'd have to walk out during the daytime and have to have sunglasses on, it's so bright because of the snow. You couldn't walk around there without having sunglasses on. That's how bright it is. So what's that saying? It means that the axis of the Earth has tilted over on its side. We will continue to tilt over because what's happened was on the 11th of December 2011, we crossed over the Milky Way galaxy equator, and if you want to test out what we was doing right up until that point, because I did the calculations, knew we was going to be tipping over, and we put lots of YouTubes up. Of course, the governments of the world take them down. But what I was predicting was that we would be crossing over on the date of the 21st of December 2012. The Mayan calendar is correct. However, the Gregorian calendar is out by 375 days. The reason why they didn't count, because they're stupid, when they did set the Gregorian calendar up, they didn't realise that between 1 BC and 1 AD there's a 0 point, and that 0 is 365 days long. So they didn't count that in. So this is in 1582. They added 10 days to the sundial in the Temple of the Winds, as they call it, in the Vatican. And what it is, it's a big tower, circular ceiling, dome, and it's got the God there and a pair of lips on the face of God, and the sun shines through the mouth of God and hits the sundial below. Therefore, the astronomers at the time told Pope Gregory XIII that the sun was out by 10 days, so he added 10 days to October the 4th, 1582, making the next day the 15th. Now, the sunrise to sunset, incidentally, was 666 minutes for that date. Hello. Now, on that same date in 1978, the conclave elected Pope John Paul II, who was the devil himself. He was a Jew from Poland. He also was a man who was working for RB Farben, is it?
RG
Farben, the biggest chemical company in Germany at the time.
And Rockefeller's bought it.
And Rockefeller's bought it out. And the Cyclone B, which is cyanide, several factors about it. That it can't be used below a certain temperature. And also the amount that's required to kill someone, especially they're talking about 2,000 a day that there was killing and then burning in the ovens. All these things is total and utter bullshit. It was the Pope, before he became a Pope, obviously, during the war, delivering the Cyclone B to the Polish camps because he's a Pole. Right? That was his job. He knew exactly how much Cyclone B was being delivered to all of the camps.
Settled it then. He's 2 or 3 canisters.
It was a couple of canisters. It was enough for him to carry on the train, right? So, and he went to all the camps. So he knew the total amount, yet he never mentioned once that the Holocaust did not occur. Now, all these things have been carried out by intelligence scientists, especially from Britain and Germans themselves. And, it's against the law to even talk about it in England. It's even against the law in Germany. You
in
get
Germany,
thrown in jail.
well, most of Europe is the same way. It's the
You
same
can't even talk
Italy.
about the Holocaust if you think it didn't happen. Right? It's a jailable offence. This is how the Jews have taken over all of Europe. And why? Well, during the war, you had Roosevelt. His family was kicked out of Spain. They're Jews. Why were the Jews kicked out of Spain? For sacrificing babies. Okay. Then we've got Churchill, a Jew. Hello, did you know that? Then you got Eisenhower, a Jew. Did you know that? That's what it's all about. So anyhow, the world is full of bullshit. Now, I witnessed a man who was a Jewish fellow who had a near-death experience. It's on the internet. And elderly man, seemed like a likeable sort of a fellow. Anyhow, he said he went and lay down on his bed and had a heart attack. Next thing, he's up into space. He's gone. What happens? He goes into a black pit. He said it was so black, the blackness was so thick, he said if you had a knife, you could cut it. But your body is not with you, but you can feel your soul is. Right? So you don't actually feel that there's a body, yet you are experiencing it as if you were a body. And he said that a figure appeared to him, which he took to be his grandfather, white, blue-eyed, bearded, and accused him of all the sins that he had, all his life flashed before him as it was exposed like a scroll been unrolled. And he said that you have now come from the world, the realm of lies, into the realm of truth. So, he didn't do many things that you would say that are evil, but it was a minor thing, like he said, this voice said to him, or this figure said to him, how many women, look at all the women you'd been with, right? Sex-wise he's talking, right? And look at the lies you told, and look at this and look at that. Did you help anybody? Did you do any kindnesses? Right? So the answer, of course, was no. But then he was revived, and he then related his story of how he had been in this blackness of death and come back with a message. Well, you don't get Jews that will die and go into the light and come back with a beautiful story. It's always extreme death, maybe in a great
Torment.
hall, and you're going to be judged, all this kind of thing. There's never anything with the Jesus figure of love and compassion that the Christian will experience. The Muslims also have a problem because they don't see Jesus as being the Saviour or God. Right? So, cut a long story short, we crossed over the Milky Way galaxy equator. The Coriolis effect is what causes the water to drain down your sink. And because scientists always thought it was the rotation of the Earth that caused the Coriolis, it isn't. It's the Milky Way galaxy. It's a much more powerful force. So when you go on the north side of the Milky Way galaxy where creation occurred, then you'll find that the water, during the period of going just prior to the 11th of December 2011, it was going slowing down until eventually it stopped and started to reverse. And I mentioned this in the radio program the other day. However, you can do that now. Go to your sink, put water in it. I suggest you get an old CD with a little tiny hole in it. Place that over the sink. Fill it with water. Stop the water turning, because the water will turn as it's coming out the tap as well. That's also the Coriolis causing that. And stop the water from turning. Let it settle down. Then float something on the surface. Remove a bit of paper that you might have over the hole to stop the water draining out. Let the water start to drain out, and you'll find that it will start to rotate in the opposite direction which you saw as a child. So in the northern hemisphere it's going to go counter or anti-clockwise, and in Australia, South America, South Africa, for example, south of the equator, it's going to go clockwise. So go down to the Mawson, go down to Casey, or go down to, in particular, the furthest south is the Nehemiah. It's Neumeyer. I only learnt to spell it yesterday. I've known about it for 20 years, but I just need to learn to spell it yesterday. All right, now carry on, darling. What are you going to talk about?
Oh,
Did I wake you?
Yes, you did. I want to mention this. Those who've been following for any length of time will appreciate this, but how long have I been saying that everybody's been worshipping the image of the beast?
No,
wait on. There's a couple of dudes. There's this
I've
dude.
heard that said Jesus hanging around with 12 men all the time. He's got to be homosexual. Hello.
The picture that everybody has built up in their mind has been brought to you by the beast. So as you go to Christian churches and you have the stained glass windows.
Do you want to tell the ladies they should go to the YouTube for this one? Well, I'm not wearing a shirt.
Oh. Oh, God. Will you just allow me to carry on, please?
Just carry on.
All right, thank you. Anyway, the image of the beast.
Try to keep your hands off me. Right?
I've been saying ever since that you're all worshipping.
You should have sent me out on your honeymoon.
You're all worshipping the image of the beast, being that image in your mind that has been fed to you by the beast itself. So you've got the long-haired, dark-eyed, brown-eyed, short beard dude. This one, thank you, Anna, for finding this. There is the other blonde dude as well. The other blonde dude is the partner of some homosexual
artist.
Artist, the lover. So, but this dude is the other one that everybody's familiar with. The one, this is my Jesus. This is your Jesus out there for everybody who comes across Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, the Christ, the Comforter, the Father, the Judge, the asshole, his own words, and you all say, well, that's not my Jesus, you're right.
My Jesus wouldn't say fuck.
Your Jesus.
Fuck you. That's what I
Your
say.
Jesus that has been presented to you, the one that turns the other cheek, and it says, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." Bullshit. He never said that. That's been fed into your mind. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they know exactly what they are doing today.
That's
you just
why
have
they
to go
got
to
the Samson option, because Hitler was right.
Yeah.
Unless you stop the Jew, the earth will be left a lifeless sphere floating, or orb, I think
Orb
it is.
floating through
Floating
the
in
ether,
the ether of space.
Yeah. So Google the Talmud. You're all familiar with it. Talmud.
Oh, dear.
This is what is
You're so
their
stupid.
holy book. So Anna has sent this around, and there's a quote over the top of the Jesus-looking figure here. This is how you can tell all the other false Christs out there that are looking like this dude at about this age. Hello? He was never coming back and going to look like he did then, because he's going to be the Father this time. In other words, grown up through and beyond the age of 33 when he was cut off.
Still looking quite lovely.
Oh,
though.
looking very lovely, as always, most handsome man on the earth, as you'd expect God to be.
Would you like me to sing
But
a
he's
song?
aged, he's the old man, he's the Ancient of Days, my nickname for him. You can sing a song.
I'm
We'd
not
all
happy
love
about
you.
that Ancient of Days business.
We'd
either.
all love you to sing a song, babe. What are
Well,
you
I'm
going
not
to
going
sing? Unchained Melody again?
Nah. It's hard enough on the ladies.
So the quote, this meme going around is, "Dude, people keep calling me out my name. My name is Caesar Borgia. I was the son of Pope Alexander IV, whose name was Rodrigo Borgia, a gangster, warmongering, greedy, orgy-having, running a continual criminal empire pope. My dad forced my image on the church and made you worship it ever since 1490. So it's the image of the beast you are all worshipping. Do you get it now? Is anybody out there starting to get it?
Oh, 20 of us.
So I just love this. Thank you, Anna, for sending that one around.
Anna is magic when she comes to doing research.
Yeah,
Very, very depth.
she's great. So,
Pedantic's the word, I think.
yeah. So I
And
just
she's
shared it.
German.
The image of the beast all Christendom is worshipping as they reject the returned Lord Jesus Christ. Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, the Father this time, the Comforter, the Holy Ghost. You see, there he is, isn't he gorgeous? The shroudy Yah. And those glasses that only lasted a couple of weeks. All right, let's move right along to, what was I going to do? Over to the borax. Let's read about borax first. The borax conspiracy. How the arthritis cure has been stopped. This was written by a man called Walter Last. You may not be able to imagine that borax, this humble insecticide and laundry detergent, has the potential of single-handedly bringing down our entire economic system. But you do not need to worry. The danger has been recognised, and the necessary steps are already being taken to defuse the situation. I will start with the basics and you will understand what I mean as the story unfolds. Just so that you know, borax repels ants. Got ants anywhere? They take a big sniff, they can't digest it and they disappear. Apparently also, speaking to them, will evacuate them from your house. I've yet to try it, but I'll let you know if it does work. Borax is a naturally occurring mineral commonly mined from dried salt lakes and is the source of other manufactured boron compounds. The main deposits are in California and Turkey. Chemical names are sodium tetraborate, decahydrate, there's a few other there, or simply sodium borate. This means it contains 4 atoms of boron and its central feature combined with 2 sodium atoms and 10 molecules, or somewhat less, of crystallization water. All borax is naturally mined. How much crystallization water it contains. Decahydrate means 10 water molecules, pentahydrate means 5, and anhydrate means 0 water. Chemically, it's all the same. Borax is commonly sold as technical or agricultural grade with 99 to 99.5% minimum purity. I bought 3 kilograms of it yesterday from Bunnings, our hardware store, and it is 100% pure, it says. Potential impurities consist of sodium, potassium, calcium, chloride, bicarbonate, carbonate, sulfate, and phosphate, but not toxic or heavy metals. So all those other things are naturally occurring as well. This grade includes the borax commonly used as household cleaner, and that's where I found it, in the cleaning aisle of Bunnings. Pharmaceutical grade is not noticeably better or purer. Borax is the sodium salt of the weak boric acid. Because sodium is more strongly alkaline, this makes a solution of borax strongly alkaline with a pH between 9 and 10, when 7 is neutral. When ingested, it reacts with hydrochloric acid in the stomach to form boric acid and sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, of course, is salt. The boron content of borax, which is the white powder stuff you buy at the supermarket, is 11.3%, while for boric acid it is 17.5%, or 50% higher than the boric acid. Ingested boron compounds are rapidly and nearly completely excreted in with the urine. Formerly, boric acid was widely used as a preservative in foods, but is now banned for this purpose in most countries and is also banned from public sale in Australia. You know, when they ban things, that they are effective and good for you, just like the black salve. According to conventional medicine, it is not known if boron is essential for humans, but research shows that we do need it. So this is conventional medicine. Oh, we don't really know if it is essential for humans.
I know, all right.
Totally. The reason why it was difficult to answer this question is the presence of boron in all plants and unprocessed foods. Diets with a fair amount of fruit and vegetables provide about 2 to 5 milligrams of boron per day. But this also depends on the region where the food was grown and how it is grown. In reality, the average intake in developed countries is 1 to 2 milligrams of boron per day. Institutionalized patients may only receive 0.25 milligrams of boron daily. Chemical fertilizers inhibit the uptake of boron from the soil. An organic apple grown in good soil may have 20 milligrams of boron, and that would be why an apple a day keeps the doctor away if it is organic and there is boron in the soil. But if grown with fertilizer, it may have only 1 milligram of boron. Fertilizers combined with poor food choices have greatly reduced our boron intake compared to 50 or 100 years ago. Further, unhealthy cooking methods greatly reduce the availability of boron from food. The cooking water of vegetables containing most of the minerals may be discarded during home cooking or commercial processing. Phytic acid in baked goods, cereals, and cooked legumes may greatly reduce availability, while gluten sensitivity and candida overgrowth inhibit the absorption of minerals. All this makes health problems due to boron deficiency now very common. And all of our soups are based on the cooked vegetables that I've used from the day before. I'll keep the water and have it as the start of a soup. The health effects of boron, due to their content of boron, borax, so let's just focus on the borax, and boric acid have basically the same health effects with good antiseptic, antifungal and antiviral properties, but only mild antibacterial action. In plants as well as animals, boron is essential for the integrity and function of cell walls and the way signals are transmitted across membranes. boron is distributed throughout the body with the highest concentration in the parathyroid glands, followed by bones and dental enamel. It is essential for healthy bone and joint function, regulating, now this is very important. Adam, for example, has been told that in his tests a few months ago, he is excreting 100% of anything that he is intaking, whether it be calcium or magnesium. None of it is sticking. It is all being excreted. And Yah himself, in some of his blood tests, showing calcium in his blood. And this would be the reason why. It is, going back. It is essential for healthy bone and joint function, regulating the absorption and metabolism of calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus through its influence on the parathyroid glands. With this, boron is for the parathyroids what iodine is for the thyroid. Okay, so one is essential to the other. Can't be without it. Boron deficiency causes the parathyroids to become overactive, releasing too much parathyroid hormone, which raises the blood level of calcium by releasing calcium from bones and teeth. So that's why you get decay and osteoporosis, all of these things. This then leads to osteoarthritis and other forms of arthritis, osteoporosis, and tooth decay. With advancing age, high blood levels of calcium lead to calcification of soft tissues, causing muscle contractions and stiffness. That would be your cramping. Calcification of endocrine glands, especially the pineal gland and the ovaries. Arteriosclerosis, so that's surrounding your heart, kidney stones, and calcification of the
Does that
kidneys.
mean women think with their ovaries? Carry on.
And calcification of the kidneys, ultimately leading to kidney failure. Boron deficiency combined with magnesium deficiency is especially damaging to the bones and teeth. Now, arteriosclerosis, of course, heart disease, all of boron deficiency. Okay. Boron affects the metabolism of steroid hormones and especially of sex hormones. It increases low testosterone levels in men and estrogen levels in menopausal women. It also has a role in converting vitamin D to its active form, thus increasing calcium uptake and deposition into bone and teeth, rather than causing soft tissue to calcify. Also, other beneficial effects have been reported, such as improvement of heart problems, vision, psoriasis, balance, memory, and cognition. The German cancer researcher Dr. Paul Gerhard Seeger has shown that cancer commonly starts with the deterioration of cell membranes. As boron is essential for cell membranes and boron deficiency widespread, this may be an important cause for the initiation of tumor growth. Boron compounds have anti-tumor properties and are potent anti-osteoporotic, anti-inflammatory, hypolipemic, anticoagulant, and anti-neoplastic agents. This overview shows the wide-ranging influence of boron on our health. In the following, I want to describe some of these health effects in greater detail. Now, he refers to the arthritis cure of Rex Newman. In the 1960s, Rex Newman, PhD, DOND, so he was a doctor of osteopathy and a naturopathy as well. And he developed arthritis. At that time, he was a soil and plant scientist in Perth, Western Australia. Conventional drugs did not help, so he looked for the cause into the chemistry of plants. He realised that plants in that area were rather mineral deficient. Knowing that boron aids calcium metabolism in plants, he decided to try it. He started taking 30 milligrams of borax a day, and in 3 weeks, all pain, swelling, and stiffness had disappeared. He told public health and medical school authorities about his discovery, but they were not interested. However, some people with arthritis were delighted as they improved. Others were scared to take something with a poison label on the container and meant to kill cockroaches and ants. Eventually, he had tablets made with a safe and effective quantity of borax. Within 5 years, and only by word of mouth, he sold 10,000 bottles a month. He could no longer cope and asked the drug company to market it. That was a major mistake. They indicated that this would replace more expensive drugs and reduce their profits. It so happened that they had representatives on government health committees and arranged that in 1981, Australia instituted a regulation that declared boron and its compounds to be poisons in any concentration. He was fined $1,000 for selling a poison, and this successfully stopped his arthritis cure from spreading in Australia. Subsequently, he published several scientific papers on borax and arthritis. One was a double-blind trial in the mid-1980s at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, which showed that 70% of those who completed the trial were greatly improved. Only 12% improved when on placebo. There were no negative side effects, but some reported that their heart ailment had also improved, and that there was better general health and less tiredness. Most of his later research was devoted to the relationship between soil boron levels and arthritis. He found, for instance, that the traditional sugarcane islands, due to long-term heavy use of fertilizers, have very low soil boron levels. Jamaica has the lowest level, and arthritis rates are about 70%. He noted that even most dogs were limping. Next comes Mauritius with very low boron levels and 50% arthritis. The daily boron intake in these countries is less than 1 milligram per day. An interesting comparison is between Indian and native Fijians. The Indians are estimated to have an arthritis rate of about 40% and eat much rice grown with fertilizer, while the native Fijians have an estimated arthritis rate of 10% and eat mainly starchy root vegetables grown privately without fertilizer. The US, England, Australia and New Zealand generally have average soil boron levels with an estimated intake of 1 to 2 milligrams of boron and arthritis rates of about 20%. But Carnarvon in Western Australia has high boron levels in soil and water, and the arthritis rate is only 1%. This is Carnarvon in Western Australia.
Right, yeah.
It is similar in a place called Ngahwa Springs in New Zealand, with very high boron levels in the spa water, which is curative for arthritis. Actually, all spas reputedly curing arthritis have very high boron levels. These are also high in Israel, with an estimated daily boron intake of 5 to 8 milligrams and only 0.5 to 1% arthritis. Bone analysis showed that arthritic joints and nearby bones had only half the boron content of healthy joints.
But isn't their biggest problem there is the smoke coming from all the bombed people in Palestine? They could inhale the smoke and the cordite and carry on.
Equally, synovial fluid that lubricates joints and provides nutrients to the cartilage is boron deficient in arthritic joints. After boron supplementation, bones were much harder than normal, and surgeons found them more difficult to saw through. No joy. With additional boron, bone fractures heal in about half the normal time in both man and animal. Horses and dogs with broken legs or even a broken pelvis have fully recovered. Borax is also effective with other forms of arthritis, such as rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile arthritis, and lupus. For instance, Dr. Newman saw a young girl aged 9 months with juvenile arthritis. He was able to cure her in 2 weeks. He wrote that commonly people can get rid of their pain, swelling, and stiffness in about 1 to 3 months. Then they can reduce treatment from 3 to 1 boron tablet. Each boron tablet is 3 milligrams. So reducing from 3, so that would be 9 milligrams of boron down to 1 per day. So that would be 3 milligrams. So 9 down to 3 milligrams per day as a maintenance dose so that they can avoid any future arthritis. He also stated that patients with rheumatoid arthritis commonly experienced a Herxheimer reaction, and that this is always a good prognostic sign. They must persevere, and in another 2 or 3 weeks the pain, swelling and stiffness will be gone. That Herxheimer reaction is when a symptom seems to get worse after starting a protocol. It gets worse before it gets better, and the reason is. I found this statement not only interesting but also surprising. The Herxheimer reaction is an early aggravation of symptoms with increased pain. It is commonly due, now listen to this, commonly due to toxins released by killed Candida and Mycoplasma. Remember the document I'm about to read, the Mycoplasma weaponized. This is very common with antimicrobial therapy, and borax definitely is an exceptionally good and strong fungicide. What surprises me, however, is that this fungicidal effect is already present at this rather low dose of 75 to 90 milligrams of borax. Equally surprising is the finding that also up to 30% of those with osteoarthritis experienced a Herxheimer reaction, suggesting that the border between osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis is rather fluid. I believe that in long-standing and especially resistant cases, it would be advisable to use other antimicrobials in addition. For cofactors in arthritis treatment, also see my article, Arthritis and Rheumatism, or the booklet, Overcoming Arthritis. Now moving on to osteoporosis and sex hormones, boron deficiency causes greatly increased amounts of calcium and magnesium to be lost within the urine, and that's what Adam had. A borax supplement will reduce the daily loss of calcium by nearly 50%. As this calcium comes mainly from resorbed bone and teeth. Boron deficiency may be the most important factor in causing osteoporosis and tooth decay. It has been estimated that 55% of Americans over 50 have osteoporosis, and of these about 80% are women. Worldwide, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 12 men over the age of 50 may have osteoporosis, and this is responsible for millions of fractures each year. Rats with osteoporosis were given a boron supplement for 30 days, with the result that their bone quality was now comparable with that of the healthy control group and of a group supplemented with oestradiol. The beneficial effect of borax on bones seems to be due to 2 interrelated effects: a higher boron content of the bones, which makes them harder, and a normalization of sex hormones, which stimulates the growth of new bone. Low estrogen levels after menopause are thought to be the main reason why so many older women develop osteoporosis. In men, testosterone levels decline more gradually, which seems to be reflected in their later onset of osteoporosis as a group. Research has now shown that boron supplementation in postmenopausal women doubles the blood level of the most active form of estrogen, that's 17-beta estradiol, to the level found in women on estrogen replacement therapy. Equally, the blood levels of testosterone more than doubled. With hormone replacement therapy, there is a higher risk of breast or endometrial cancer, which is not known to happen with hormones produced by the body as with borax supplementation. Some women get premenstrual problems because estrogen levels are too high and progesterone too low, and therefore may be afraid of using boron. However, I found no evidence that boron raises estrogen above normal healthy levels. Boron may balance levels of sex hormones similar to the action of maca root powder. Maca acts on the pituitary gland not only to increase but also to balance our sex hormones and seems to stimulate our own progesterone production as needed. A recent study in younger men, the ages of 29 to 50, showed that the level of free testosterone, the form that matters most, had risen by 1/3 after a daily supplementation of about 100 milligrams of borax for 1 week. This is of special interest for bodybuilders. Contrary to the medical preference of chemically castrating men with prostate cancer, research with boron has shown that elevated testosterone levels are beneficial by shrinking prostate tumors and PSA levels, PSA being a marker for tumors and inflammation in the prostate. Also, significantly improved memory and cognition in elderly individuals may be partly due to increased levels of sex hormones and partly to improved membrane functions of brain cells. I have been asked about boron supplementation for women with estrogen-sensitive breast cancer. Breast cancer is related to calcifications in the breast. In my opinion, it is more important to normalize the calcium-magnesium metabolism and cellular membrane functions rather than feel restricted by a possibly faulty medical concept, especially as I believe that cancer can usually be controlled with long-term antimicrobial therapy. Therefore, I would use boron as well as maca in this case. Now, this is interesting, fungi and fluoride. Being such an excellent fungicide, it is not surprising that borax is being successfully used to treat candida. There is much interesting information on an Earth Clinic forum called Borax Cures. With low to medium weight people use 1/8 of a teaspoon of borax powder, and with heavier weight 1/4 of a teaspoon per litre of water. One drinks the water spaced out during the day and does this for 4 or 5 days a week, as long as is required. Many contributors wrote that it cured or greatly helped them. So, for instance, and this is a quote from the site, this post, "I also have psoriasis, so maybe the soreness in my joints is the psoriatic of arthritis creeping in. I thought after reading about borax here on this forum I would give it a try. Oh my God, in one day the soreness in my knees has vanished. Also my psoriasis seems a lot better after 2 days drinking 1/4 of a teaspoon of borax in 1 litre of water per day." And then there's another one about toe fungus. Quote, "He wet his feet and then took a handful of borax and rubbed it all over his feet. He said it stopped itching immediately. He was stunned. A few weeks later I asked him how his athlete's foot was, and he said, 'Oh wow, it hasn't come back. That stuff totally cured it.'" Other enthusiastic posts were about vaginal thrush. Borax appeared to be more effective than other remedies. Commonly, 1 large gelatin capsule filled with borax or boric acid was inserted at bedtime for several nights or up to 2 weeks. Alternatively, the powder can be mixed with cool, solidified coconut oil as a bolus or suppository. A recent scientific study confirms these positive observations with vaginal thrush. Boric acid at the dose of a filled capsule worked even in cases of drug-resistant candida and against all the tested pathogenic bacteria. Because of the greater dilution, a douche may not be strong enough for bacteria and drug-resistant candida, but it should work for normal candida. Borax, due to its alkalinity, was more effective than boric acid. In normal conditions, hun, can you get me a drink of something, please? The coconut water or something from the... In normal, healthy conditions, candida exists as harmless oval yeast cells. When challenged, chains of elongated cells called pseudohyphae develop, and finally strongly invasive, long, narrow and tube-like filaments called hyphae. These damage the intestinal wall and cause inflammation and leaky gut syndrome. Now, we're just talking about leaky gut syndrome caused by the Roundup Ready corn, of course. Pseudohyphae and hyphae can be seen in the blood of individuals with cancer and autoimmune diseases. Candida can also form tough layers of biofilm. This same study shows that boric acid or borax inhibits the formation of biofilms and also the transformation of harmless yeast cells into invasive hyphal form. In other articles, I have shown that this process, commonly initiated by antibiotics, is a basic cause of most of our modern diseases. And this makes borax and boric acid primary health remedies. But this article shows that there are many more reasons to give them a top rating. A scientific review in 2011 concluded boric acid is a safe alternative, an economic option for women with recurrent and chronic symptoms of vaginitis when conventional treatment fails. But as it is so much better than drugs, why not use it as a first option? Or use the even more effective borax? This is Walter Last's question. Another study from Turkey shows the protective effect of boric acid on food contaminated with mycotoxins, especially fungal aflatoxins, and that's what they have put in the food chain deliberately. That was who's that? Dean Lauren. His father worked on that as scientist. How'd you like to have a father who did that for the world? Among these, aflatoxin B1, it's called AFB1, causes extensive DNA damage and is the most potent carcinogen ever tested, especially affecting liver and lungs, also causing birth defects, immunotoxicity, and even death in farm animals and humans.
What's that one called?
This is what the aflatoxin does. AFB1 causes extensive DNA damage, and this is the most potent carcinogen ever tested. This is in the food chain, put there deliberately by mad scientists ordered by the Jew World Order. Okay, so boric acid treatment was protective and led to increased resistance of DNA to oxidative damage induced by the AFB1, that's the aflatoxin bacteria 1. The strong antifungal action of boric acid is, of course, the reason why it has traditionally been used as a food preservative. Hi. We're almost there. I better move right along. I'm going to record the second. Joel's got to get this up now. We're way over. I'll come back, show whatever it is, 62, 63, whatever. The next one, continuing reading about borax. And we'll put the document in the description. Yeah, we'll put the document in the description. But we've all started on borax this morning, as I say.
I'm going to have mine.
Yes, you're going to have yours. I actually added some more. Yar's been taking it straight, quarter of a teaspoon into a glass of water. Because we had all this information years ago, but it's all got lost in the everything been going on. So, particularly today with the scaremongering of plutonium and radiation, etc., this is protection from the damage that the aflatoxin's been doing, which has been put in the food chain.
It's all the chemtrails.
Chemtrails that set off the aflatoxins, yeah.
And they blame plutonium where it's the safest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Corn crops in the USA where they're peeling it, it's just black with
Black.
aflatoxins and mold.
Yeah.
Heavy chemtrail every day.
So borax, everybody, get out there now. I bought 3 kilograms yesterday. Here in Australia, it was $8 for a kilogram at Bunnings. Go to your supermarket, look for it. If it says 99% or 98%, as I read to you, the impurities accompany it naturally. There's one in the USA that is an Arm & Hammer one. And anyway, we'll put all of that in the description here. Later, Gators.